Vinland Saga might not be your favorite anime. You might not even know what it is, but that's okay, because what it can be and is a great example of how to heal and let go of the past, how to live with regrets, how not to grieve, how to treat people like people, how people really can change, and of course, the fact that you have no enemies. These are just a small amount of the lessons hiding inside the beautiful storytelling of Vinland Saga, and I plan to talk about them all. And make no mistake, this isn't a video about lore or a conspiracy theory or even an episode or season summary. This is a video about how you can become a better, happier, and healthier version of you, with the help of anime and anime characters you didn't know you needed. Out of all the themes Vinland Saga covers, the main one that you're going to learn about today is one of the most vital lessons that most people don't learn about until they're much older. For quick context, this show heavily revolves around the fact that everyone in life is a slave to something that they can't so easily walk away from. And for most, it sadly takes a tragic event or what some would consider a test of God or from God in order to change or see the error in their ways. For Thorfinn, the leading character of the show, this tragic event happens twice. Once in the beginning of the show, when his father is murdered in front of him, which starts his quest for vengeance to kill the man who killed him, Askeladd. And the second time, when he's turned into a slave and sold like livestock to a very rich farm owner. This brings us to the topic of today's video, which is finding your purpose. Touching lightly on Thorfinn's life, he hasn't had the best hand dealt to him. After his father was murdered when he was younger, no one was there to guide him during his grieving process. And for those of you whose parents are your superheroes, you can imagine how it would feel to helplessly watch as your mother, father, or guardian were struck down in front of you, especially when the last thing his father told him was you have no enemies. A discovery his father made after abandoning his lifelong dedication to ruthlessly winning wars and becoming the strongest Viking the world has ever known. And in Thorfinn's defense, when your father is going to war literally the next day, you can imagine how hypocritical that must sound. In season 2 of Vinland Saga, Thorfinn has been enslaved after chasing vengeance for over 10 years. In a turn of events, the man that killed Thorfinn's father, Askeladd, ends up raising him while also making him a child of war. And Thorfinn was no joke. He spent the majority of his childhood and teen years learning how to kill and how to overcome his physical, mental, and combative weaknesses. Askeladd would often give him near impossible tasks. For instance, Askeladd, aka the best dad in the show, sent Thorfinn on a mission to kill the second strongest Viking in the world, Thorkel the Tall. And after these tasks, he'd promised to give Thorfinn a duel to the death. As time went on, Askeladd would have hoped that Thorfinn would have moved on from his vengeance, but war and vengeance was Thorfinn's reason for living. This would lead Askeladd often teaching Thorfinn a lesson the hard way, or Thorfinn encountering many mental struggles. Over time, Thorfinn grew stronger while Askeladd grew older. Notice I didn't say weaker. If any of you have an uncle who is still freakishly strong at an old age, this was that relationship. Eventually, Askeladd was killed during the end of the first season, and Thorfinn, for lack of better words, was shattered. Thorfinn was lost in rage at the sight of watching his enemy and also his second and only father figure left die by someone else's hands. What we have to understand here is that as human beings, purpose is everything. And it's exactly why we see characters like Arnheid move on from life, because what's the point of living? A question we all ask from time to time, and a very valid one. While some people feel as though they are born with a purpose, many of us live our lives searching for the reason that we have been put on this earth. And even when we often think we find it, sometimes life is cruel and it's taken away from us. Then we're back to square one. Who am I and why the hell am I here? Think of purpose as the fuel of the human experience. While many people think you only ever have one purpose, I'm here to tell you that you actually have a lot more than that. And also the fact that purpose doesn't actually just fall out of the sky because you woke up one morning. Think of purpose as your why. Why do you live? Why do you do what you do? Purpose creates a belief system within you, and that belief system will control how you interact with the world. And although I'm asking you these questions, I don't expect you to have an answer right now, or even tomorrow for that matter. I'm simply a 23-year-old college student currently trying to figure out life and what things make me happy. The one thing people tend to leave out when discussing purpose. And so often purpose is looked at as a thing that brings you great wealth. Yet what some people forget or never learn is that sometimes your purpose was never meant for you. Sometimes your purpose and the peace you bring is to help others. This leads us into season 2 of Vinland Saga, where we reunite with Thorfinn on a farm where he is now a slave to a master. Thorfinn sticks to working long days and nights and doesn't talk very much. As the season goes on, we come to find out that Thorfinn has been having nightmares of all the people he's killed, and I'm talking hundreds. The dreams progressively get worse as he often finds himself being dragged down to Valhalla. You heard me correctly, I said down. In Vinland Saga, Valhalla isn't a glorious place where warriors go who die on the battlefield. It's actually an eternal hell where warrior spirits aren't allowed to rest. And from there, most never actually make it to heaven or hell. Thorfinn strongly believes that his life has no purpose and that he too will end up in that hellish eternity. He feels as though he belongs there. This mindset not only leads Thorfinn to give up on himself, but cease the idea of living, and he merely just decides to exist. In a turn of events, Thorfinn's new friend and fellow slave, Einar, is a victim of war and also had his family murdered by Vikings. And little does Thorfinn know, it's this relationship that's going to lead him to his new purpose and dream. A dream so beautiful that even Einar asks if it's possible. A dream to rid the world of slavery and war, and a purpose to protect Einar from becoming just like him and to never kill again. Also, his ghost daddies occasionally visit him from time to time to speed up the process, so that's nice. And it's in season 2 that we see that Thorfinn was lying all along. Thorfinn allowed himself to be cut up by a guard on the farm until the boss came out. His name was Snake. And Snake is a fellow warrior who wanted to test if Thorfinn meant what he said, that his life had no meaning. And it's here that we discover that Thorfinn was wrong. He was lying the entire time. His body instinctively moves with urgency as if to want to stay alive. And what I love about Thorfinn's journey in season 2 is that his purpose was never even a part of the question, as he must first understand how to overcome grief before encountering the spark that brought him back to life and open his heart. And what I love about my purpose and your purpose is that it's the exact same process as Thorfinn's, meaning that there's no set time or date you have to know it by. And if you've ever watched a TV show or a talent show, many people will say that music makes them happy, that helping others makes them happy. Well, just by pursuing those things, even the ones that you're only kind of interested in, you're well on your way to finding what makes you, you. Okay, now what does all this mean? What is the big question? The big question is, well, how do I begin to find my purpose? And it's the same way Thorfinn started to find his. And I don't mean murder or war for that matter. Start by questioning yourself. Questioning yourself is the most frustrating and fun journey you'll ever undertake, because what you'll begin to find is that maybe, just maybe, you don't know yourself as well as you thought you did. Another best way to find your purpose is by trying as many things as you can and basically sampling life as if it was food. And don't get caught up in the idea that you have to love something to do it. That's such a twisted idea of purpose. Love only has a small part to play in your purpose. Those that have discovered at some point what their purpose was or is have become some of the most successful people, and in some instances, the most human out of all of us. People like Simon Sinek, Martin Luther King Jr., Shaquille O'Neal, Gandhi, Mr. Beast, and even my parents. And always remember that your success doesn't have to look like theirs. You define it for yourself. While some people might want millions, others might just want a family of their own, and you have no right to judge them for wanting what makes them happy. Everyone has their own timing, their own journey, and their own battles. And just like Thorfinn, no matter how many times you get knocked down or want to give up on life, always remember that there is someone out there who needs you. Someone who won't, can't, and never will become their best self without meeting the best version of you. And by not searching for your purpose, you're doing them and yourself a disservice. I matter, Thorfinn matters, and so do you. And if you decide to watch the show, you'll discover that Thorfinn's dad was right. You have no enemies, except the one within you. And what's crazier is that the only way to get more life-changing content like this is by hitting that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to becoming the best version of myself with you. I love you, and have an amazing day.